Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I live in my basement.
That's Derek, by the way. This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and guys, we are returning to Salem's Lot again this week. So, in the past, what season was that? Was that this season or last season?
I was just about to look that up.
I think it was this season. It feels very recent, anyways.
It does. We did the 1979
Salem's
miniseries.
Was a year ago.
Okay, so yep,
Yeah,
last season. So last season we did the Tobe Hooper's miniseries. So this week we are doing Gary Dauberman's recent 2024 release. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Really full. I ate a bunch of food and then I ate a bunch of leftover Halloween candy.
Ooh. That's the way to
I'm
go.
really mad right now, actually.
Why is that?
And I blame Lydia. Because we did not do Stinker King Timber.
Ah,
Oh, Stinker King Tober.
Because Stephen King's birthday is in September, I think. We
Yeah.
missed it, guys.
We did skip it this year. We'll get it next year.
I don't blame you, Lydia. You came up with the name, but
we can do a Stinker King Vember.
We can't. We have some Thanksgiving treats to hit up at some point this month. But we are starting for this one. So this November 1st, we're doing the first Stephen King, which is Salem's Lot. But guys, I have a lot to talk about with this one. But before we do, I want to hop into some horror news. And I don't have a whole lot, but I have some very interesting stuff. So let's start with this. The original Goosebumps TV series, remember the one that we all grew up on?
Mm-hmm.
It is streaming on Tubi, guys.
Yes.
I wish Clark was old enough to handle it.
I was this close to watching it today because I saw someone share that.
Oh, really?
Yes, someone on my Facebook shared it, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, Tubi, let's go there." But
well,
I was
not Tubi. I'm sorry, guys.
Every time.
Okay. I love that joke. We are all just.
I used to love Goosebumps. You know, Ooh. Yep.
Bark.
Dog. Yeah. His green eyes. Yeah. Yellow eyes is the best. So yeah, that's cool. I might check it out too because it was super fun. I mean, it's cheesy, of course, but I remember being a kid and watching the pilot episode, the mask one,
Mm-hmm.
the first time, and being like,
so good.
This is pretty good. And then I remember watching the first one with Night of the Living Dummy, the first Night of the Living Dummy, being like, not bad. Between that and Are You Afraid of the Dark, we got our preteen horror fixes in.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
Afraid of the Dark.
I don't know if this is in your horror news at all, but we have Stay Out of the Basement movie coming.
Oh yeah,
with
that's not
David Schwimmer.
With who?
Interesting.
David Schwimmer as the dad in the Stay Out of the Basement.
Oh,
it looks really good.
Yes, yeah, the Goosebumps one. Yes, I did see that. That does look interesting. So I got a little tiny bit of Trick or Treat news, guys. It's not a new movie yet, but Sam is returning with a brand new graphic novel anthology.
Who?
Really?
Sam from Trick or Treat.
Oh.
It's called Trick or Treat Witching Hours. And it should be hitting stores next year because it should be around the same time as the 10th anniversary of Krampus, which came out in 2015.
So
yeah,
this is
it's
only the second one that they
the second what?
like the second Trick or Treat, or did they do any more?
Well, they only did one. This is a graphic novel. Were you paying attention to any of the things I said?
Yeah, I do. Now it makes sense, but they're missing out. Like they should make that when you said anthology, my mind just went to movie because it's where I live. But
Yeah, no.
missing out, man.
Well, they've been trying to make a Trick or Treat movie for a while. Just hasn't gotten off the ground. Hopefully, eventually, we will get it. So, I got this news here for you guys. Matthew Lillard was interviewed recently, I think, by Drew Barrymore on her talk show. And he believes that Stu is still alive. Now, does that mean that he knows something we don't? Is he going to be in Scream 7? What do you guys think?
I think there's no way Stu is alive, but if that's what they want to say to get him back in it, I mean, go for it. I don't think I would be mad about it. Everybody loves Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw him die with my own eyes.
Yeah.
You did see a giant CRTV dropped on his face.
Yeah, nobody comes back from that. Nobody comes back from that.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Guys, speaking of surprises, I got a surprise for you guys. So, as you guys remember, they filmed a new Predator movie, remember? Dan Trachtenberg, who made Prey, has done a new one called, with Elle Fanning, called Predator Badlands. Well, it's not releasing on Hulu, this one. It's coming to theaters November 2025.
Nice.
November 7th of 2025. So we don't have a lot on Badlands yet, but just that. So that's good news, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
wait,
that's cool.
There's more, because apparently, unbeknownst to all of us, Dan Trachtenberg made a secret bonus Predator movie that's also coming out in 2025. He made two movies, guys.
How did he pull that shit off?
I don't know. But according to AV Club and several other news outlets, he has, now it sounded like he has made two such films with 20th Century head honcho Steve Asbell revealing we'll get a bonus Trachtenberg Predator movie sometime in 2025. Dan came back and said, I didn't want to do Prey 2. And we're like, what do you want to do? And he rattled off a bunch of ideas that were really crazy but cool. We actually did two of them. Two are coming out next year.
Wow.
So, what do you guys think of that?
I gotta watch Prey.
Oh, Prey, yeah. Prey rips. We've got to do it.
It really does.
Yes. We've got to get there, but yeah, it's really good. So, that's exciting news. And then
it's pretty exciting.
The last bit of horror news goes right into tonight's movie, because what are we doing tonight? Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is a remake, of course, of a Stephen King property.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, saying that, there is a new Stephen King remake in the works. It is a made-for-TV miniseries adaptation, an 8-episode adaptation of Stephen King's Carrie. Executive produced and made by Mike Flanagan.
Okay, well, you had me there. I was like, didn't they just do a Carrie movie? Like, not that too far.
It was about 10 years ago or so. Maybe a little more than that.
It was like 100 years ago.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't it like it was like 10, 12 years ago.
It
The
probably
one
was,
with
yeah.
the one with what's her face in it. But
Yeah,
no,
Chloe,
this is
Chloe.
yeah. Chloe Moretz, is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I
never saw that one.
It's 2013 was when it came out. I just saw it. But this is an 8-episode television series made by Mike Flanagan. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, if he's involved, he's got my vote.
Yeah,
and especially his miniseries.
Dude,
they're only all spectacular.
I mean, one day we will have to get around to doing it because that is the last movie or TV show, whatever, that really got me. Like I was in it.
Yeah, both of the hauntings, Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, are excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys watch Midnight Mass, but it's fucking perfection.
I haven't seen it yet. Oh.
And I don't know if you guys watched the Poe series, Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh no, you told me it was so good though.
It is. It is. It's Flanagan horror. It's awesome.
Nice.
So you guys have to catch up on those too. But this will be a
series, right?
Yes, those were all Netflix. This new one is made for Amazon, so it'll be on Amazon.
Well, they better not try to him.
They won't. That's why he's over there. I'm assuming, because they'll probably also release it on physical media. Which yeah, please fucking do that shit. But that wraps up this week's horror news. So, guys, we have a long road to get to tonight's movie, Salem's Lot. We followed this from its inception. You guys remember?
Yes.
From when it was announced, through production, through it being shelved for a while. Like, we didn't know. It was like in purgatory for a long while. We didn't know what was going to happen. There was fears that it might get shelved like Batgirl and Coyote vs. Acme. But luckily, we finally got a release date for streaming on Max. And, we followed this from the casting. We followed it from the pictures up to the trailers. And now we're finally here. So usually we start this episode with, tell me about the first time you saw this, or tell me about your experiences. Well, we know the experiences because we all shared it. We were there. This is like one of the newest movies we've done.
Yes.
In a while.
And it's funny that we all watched it on our own, like without, without like saying anything to each other, like, oh, watch this one. We all were like, oh, we just watched this. Let's watch it again.
Yeah, and let's discuss it. Yeah, I mean, the thing was, it all worked out that we all had time at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that looks good. We need to catch up on that. So here we are. So where do you guys want to start with it? Because this is like the pacing of this movie is different. It kind of flies, to be honest.
Yes.
We don't get any of those breathing moments. And it's like if we took Salem's Lot, injected it with speed, and cut out all of the interesting stuff and just kept the main beats and then completely changed the third act. And that's what we have for Salem's Lot.
Right?
So I think the one thing this movie has against it is the history of the original. Because this movie looks great. I thought the cinematography was fucking amazing.
Yes.
The opening
talk
scene,
about that.
man. Did you guys watch the opening scene? It kind of tracks a little bit of Game of Thrones. But I mean,
yeah.
A lot of times you're getting your popcorn and stuff like that when the opening.
Yeah.
But like when it was the opening scene reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones, but I loved the blood trail like through the maps, and it was.
It was all exposition.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
It was all exposition. That's one of those when you're crunched for time. That's one of those clever ways to get exposition out. Is let's put it over the titles.
Yeah.
No, I liked it a lot too. Yeah.
It felt like a show for sure, like a series on something. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, let's talk about that cinematography that you mentioned, Derek, because I agree. I think the movie looks great.
Yeah.
It was lensed. It was lensed by Michael Burgess. He's the cinematographer for this, and they did a great job because there's certain shots in the movie that look beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love when they're walking and we see them silhouetted against the sky is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love like the shot of Barlow up on the projector. We see from behind him. That's a phenomenal shot. There's a bunch of really great shots in this movie. I do agree with that. So you want to talk about the characters real fast? Want to start with that? Talk about the characters and the performers of those characters. Let's start with our lead, Ben Mears, and he's played by Lewis Pullman in this, Bill Pullman's son. What do you guys think of, first of all, Ben or the performance of Ben?
Really good, really strong.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I like him as well as Ben. I think he might be one of the best Ben, or at least he's on par with David Soul, because David Soul does a terrific Ben in the miniseries. He's really nuanced and has some layers to him. And this Ben, I think he's underwritten because of the nature of the film.
I would say you're probably right. It probably is underwritten, because like one thing that stood out to me, like just reflecting on the movie we watched last year, was like that Ben had a little bit more of like a presence to him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's David Soul, baby.
I know, and it could have just been the way that the actor portrayed the character, but it also just could have been the way that the character was written in this one. I do think he did a great job, but just looking at the two characters, like that stands out. He just seemed more confident and like.
Yeah, it's also, I think that he has less motivation to be here in this one. In the book and in the miniseries, we really get to, understand his why he's there, his motivation. We get some, like, the Marsden house is really prominent. And the Marsden house is like nothing in this movie. Like, it's mentioned.
Right?
It's just a relic that's in the town. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It's really weird.
Really weird. I'm gonna try to say my point over this train, but I really gotta get this out. I think, like, from watching, like, one of my things about the other one was the actor was great, but I was like, he's almost like too charismatic for that role of like just kind of a quiet writer that's just coming, like I think this guy plays it perfectly, and I agree he's completely underwritten in this, but I think he like kind of balances it out, like I think he did. I could see him being this character, where that other guy was a little bit too cool for that.
Maybe, yeah. David Soul just is too cool for anything. He's pretty awesome.
Like you put, our boy in there.
Well, I mean, when we aconize this, that's going to be the case. But
I
let's
understand.
not get ahead of ourselves.
That's,
So Ben really is the only character that, Ben and Mark are the only characters that really the only characters that get a lot of development. What do you guys think of Mark in this?
He's the boy?
Yes.
Because they changed him a little bit.
Because I think he kind of rules in this.
I mean,
I think he's
you're looking at it from a like he kind of overrules, if that makes any sense. Like he just is so I don't know. I don't want to like. I'm not gonna diss him, but it's just he's a really strong character in this.
Yeah,
even more so than a lot of the adults. And if that's what they were going for, then perfect. They nailed it. But that's one thing that stood out. He's a very strong character.
And
amazing.
Oh yeah, he's great. That actor is Jordan Preston.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so here's the thing.
Me.
Oh
that was
my
a bad
God.
joke. I'll work on it, guys.
Please do. Look, I agree that there's some validation to what you're saying. He is, like just written to be the coolest, but he kind of is the coolest. And I don't hate that necessarily. But what I think is an aspect of is which is an overall theme of this whole thing for me, is it's the 2017 idification of this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
this was
there
hard,
for sure.
This was trying hardcore to replicate the Andy Muschietti It movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From the way it looks to the way some of the pacing, but also some of the CGI, and just as Mark being more like one of the losers as opposed to, just the nerdy horror movie fan that he is in the 79 version and in the 74 novel. What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, like this is the really interesting change is this character, because he just isn't scared. He's just like, it's vampires and I'm gonna take them out. Like, you're like, oh, okay. You're not like a little bit freaked out. Like, he immediately just like takes down this bully, like just no fear at all in this character, which is interesting in a way because you really don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
But I don't know, maybe they could have made him a little bit more scared.
Yeah, the rest of the cast, so the rest of the characters are kind of severely underwritten, I am afraid. The only one that I think that Matt Burke is great. Bill Camp as Matt Burke is actually really, really good in this as the school teacher. Matt,
he did amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, I think he's really good, and I think the doctor is fine, but also kind of underwritten.
Yeah,
and then the priest is severely underwritten.
Oh yeah. Like almost like a throwaway character.
Yes, and he, the problem is the runtime is, obviously a problem. Though with what's the runtime of the miniseries? I think the runtime of the miniseries is only like 3 hours, right? It's like 2.5-hour segments.
Yeah.
Basically. It's about 3 hours. This one condensed everything to 2, so it's a whole hour missing. So all of the events, like when this movie started, and we get the scene with the two guys doing the dropping off Barlow.
Yeah.
Like that happens like immediately, and it's just like real, like just like the chopped up Cliff Notes version of that, right? And I was like, whoa, that was fucking fast. Okay. And then the way we're introduced to like Susan in a mini series, I think this Susan, I like this Susan, but she doesn't have a lot to do, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's something I don't even know exactly how to put my finger on it. I guess just underwritten is like that's just it.
That's the name of the game on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to try to fit all of that stuff into a short runtime, and you've got to give them you've got to hit the major beats. I get it, but it definitely you can feel it. I feel like in a lot of the scenes. I think the beginning of this movie is pretty good, pretty solid. The first half of this, because we get some fun, like we get to meet some of the characters, like Matt and stuff, and then we get the Ben interacting with these people. Here's a weird, interesting throwaway that never happens. Remember the boyfriend, the guy that likes Susan in the miniseries, and we get like a whole bit of him being in jail, and then he's turned by Barlow. We get all that. That guy is like in one scene where he's like, "Why don't you move back to New York?" Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, he really has a thing for Susan." Never see that fucking guy again.
Nope. Nope. You know, one character that I really, really enjoyed in this movie, I loved the sheriff. All his like when at the beginning, when Ben is just kind of staring at the house, then it has no real importance to him. He's like, "You're not going to make any trouble because that makes work for me, and I don't like to work." Like,
yeah,
I love that.
I mean,
yeah,
he's a lazy, cowardly son of a bitch. Played by the great William Sadler, who's great in everything he does.
Yeah, he's got a couple of good lines in this.
He does. Yeah, he is interesting. So is so the Gravedigger character.
Oh yeah,
is his character is, we get similar beats, right? We get the similar beats because we also get this. We get the similar beats of the kids. Getting who I think is the worst offender of being underwritten in the performance is not good is for Staker.
Oh, interesting.
I like the
yeah,
actor that they chose, but yeah, he truly has not much to do.
No, he doesn't have much to do. He's kind of
not very
sucks
scary
in this version. No, he sucks. He feels like he's like just, I don't know. He just doesn't feel like he's a part of the movie, really.
I agree. Yeah, he kind of
especially
forget about him.
Especially when you compare him to the fucking great, James Mason performance in the 79 version, who was like just the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just so charismatic and cool. Yeah, he just kind of like feels like he's twirling his mustache on a train track.
Yeah,
Then he dies incredibly easily. He's just like, gets fucked up by Mark, and then he's like, that's the end of him.
Yep.
You don't see him again. Let's talk about some of the big set pieces, though, because I mean they do keep most of the set pieces, most of the middle ones at least. Let's go through those. What do you guys think of the window scene in this one?
Like just on its own, or comparing it to the old one? Because
both. Just as
on its own, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty good. I love the glowing eye effects, and I don't know. Yeah, I like the eyes a lot. Like that is just such a cool thing. And like the foggy nights, and he's like looking out the window, and he like their eyes kind of like glaze over when they're being like hypnotized. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't love the white eyes hypnotized thing. That one's too it for me. That one feels too
I'm all right with it. I like it a lot, so maybe that's
yeah.
I know you do too, but
I do too. But yeah, what did you think of it, Derek? The bedroom scene.
When he comes through the window, right?
Yeah.
It was good. I liked the scene. I liked most of the scenes in this movie. I thought it played really well. I like that actor. He's in The Boys.
Yeah.
He looks really young in this, so you could tell it didn't come out like
shot a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he Yeah, I thought that scene played pretty well. I think the worst thing that this movie has going against it is the comparison it's just naturally going to get from the original. I mean, it does totally has the pacing problems, but
Yeah,
I thought
well,
those scenes worked pretty well.
Yeah, I think this scene's pretty good too in this version. It's kind of wild though how great Toby Hooper's version is still, right? The made-for-TV movie from 1979 is still. I mean, it's still like, we compare both of those scenes together, and we're like, I don't know, this one's probably still better. But no, I liked it too. I think it's pretty solid. I like how I'm kind of two minds, by the way, about the glowing cross bit. What do you guys think of the glowing cross?
I thought it was kind of cool.
Go ahead, Lydia.
That's it. I just thought it was kind of cool. I was like, oh, they glow. I didn't understand that at first. Like, it took me a minute to get that. I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I agree with you, Derek. I think it's a little too bright. It's like a little too much.
Because it's like a slight hue around it. Like I could, the power of God. But in this, it's just like it's a flashlight,
dude. And it's like a heating element. It's like they plugged in a heating element to it.
Yeah.
And especially like when in the next scene we're going to talk about with Matt, where he gets attacked. It's like he's walking in the dark and using it as a flashlight. Like, what the fuck? All right. What do you guys think of that scene? Because I think that one is pretty good.
When he's walking, let's see.
When Matt is after the kid dies from the gravedigger, after he dies.
Mm-hmm.
And he's walking through the house.
He's walking through the house. Yeah, Mike Ryerson's that character's name. After Mike dies, and then Ben's walking through the house, and he comes in because he's already been invited, and they have that whole showdown. He grabs the cross, and then he, disinvites him, and he flies out of the window.
Loved that scene. I thought that was spectacular. I thought it was great. I think the practical effect of him getting thrown back against the wall and falling through the door, I just was so good, so nice. Really liked that. And the cross thing, I was like, I'll forgive that because this was clearly very practical. I'm into that. So
yeah, I thought that scene was pretty good. It was pretty strong. And just the fight, him rolling down the stairs, it really worked. Pretty good. Then how he banished him out of his house.
Yeah, I like it. I like it too. Again, obviously we'll talk about the pacing issues here shortly, but right now we're talking about just the scenes themselves. And as a scene on its own, I think it's really cool.
The one cliche thing that they did in this movie that I was just like, I mean, it's forgivable, but vampires, it's where I forget his name, but anyway, the boy gets under
Mark?
Mark gets under his covers with his headlamp, which really got me.
Oh God!
Surfing through his comic books to learn all the rules.
The comic books, yeah, that was so cheesy.
I hate that. Yeah, I hated that.
It's forgivable, I guess, but
yeah, I didn't love it.
You're gonna get all your information in this day and age from.
But it wasn't that day and age. It was.
I know,
it was
but
the 70s.
It's idified.
Have the teacher find the rules because he was already investigating everything. And anyway,
I don't mind
the fact that this kid in the other one was a major horror movie nerd like us, where we're just yes, this kid gets it. His room looks like a movie set. It's so good. He's got Wolfman posters or whatever, and makes masks. He makes all these effects. In this one, he's just makes little dioramas or whatever, and you're just
they're horror themed, and I think that's what they're going for.
But he
shouldn't have.
It doesn't feel the same.
we shouldn't have needed. Instead, he should have just known all of the rules anyway. He should have just went to. We could have had that scene instead of him pulling it from the comic books, writing down a list. He should just have shown up and said, "Here are the rules." Boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
And they're like, "How do you know this?" Sure. And then he's like, "How do you know this?" He's like, "Well, because I've watched movies, my guy. What are you talking about?"
He's like, "I love horror movies. Did I forget to mention that I love horror movies, and that's the coolest thing about my character?"
That is the scene in the morgue is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Except how it ends, which I have a big problem with.
What are you talking about? Rabies shots defeat vampire bites all the time.
No. What are you talking about? Who wrote that?
That's how it is.
I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about that because listen,
what do you
that's like a D. That's like a D- on your report card there, buddy.
I guess I see. I mean, the old legend is if you burn your wound before it, right after the bite, you can kill it. That would have been cooler, probably.
Yeah.
But I mean,
definitely would have been cooler than a rabies shot. They're like, well, if you get it quick enough. I'm like, he didn't give you rabies. What are you talking about? It just doesn't make any sense.
So, there's a couple of weird things that happened coming around here. So, Matt decides to go and investigate the house by himself, and he, Mark is there because he's been, captured, and then he just straight up murders Staker, and that's it, and then just escapes down in the basement. But they're locked in. They're locked in the basement, So I don't love the way that Matt goes out, and this is a good time for me to mention. Let's talk about Barlow, because I kind of hate the way he looks.
Yeah.
I kind of hate him.
It's not good.
What do you think, Derek?
I agree. I really hate the front of his face. I think is fine. The back of his head is atrocious.
He's way too. He didn't need to be CGI'd. He didn't need to be CGI'd.
No.
Yeah. His eyes were way too edited. Like it just. Yeah. We want practical. That's why we liked the old one.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to go for a similar look from the miniseries. They tried to borrow from that, but they augmented it with CGI too much. I do not like the way he looks.
No, it's not good. It's almost like they merged him with like the 30 Days of Night.
Yeah.
Alien vampires,
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? He's also, we use the word underwritten a lot. He's severely underutilized. And I mean, in the miniseries, he doesn't speak. This is when he does, but his presence is felt throughout the entire miniseries. You kind of forget about him because you have all the other vampires. I do like the bit where after Susan is bitten and he takes her to the church, and she, runs out and he runs after her. And I do, it's kind of fun when he gets swooped up by the vampire.
Oh, yes.
And then he stakes it. You hear the sound effect and then they drop. I thought that was really fun. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
That was great. I loved it.
You know which scene sucks on its own and sucks in comparison to the miniseries? Is Barlow's attack on the parents. On Mark's parents.
Yes. But
God, it sucks ass in this
close. It's not even close to being as good. Like that one, even if you go back and watch it and you're like, wow, this looks kind of cheesy, it's still way scarier.
Way more impactful. In the miniseries, Staker's there with him, which he doesn't need to be in this one because Barlow talks, and Staker gives the whole, the whole oh, where's your God now? That whole thing about the God, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Straker, not Staker, Straker. But he does that whole bit, what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And he does it. Barlow says it in this one, but it's not near as impactful because he's just randomly in the room. Bah! Whereas in the fucking miniseries, he busts through the goddamn window, does a somersault through the window, and is just OP'd and terrifying. And you're like,
yeah,
oh my God.
He's threatening. He does that freaky thing where he comes up out of the floor. Or melts or whatever he does. I forget what he does, but it was really cool.
Yeah. Did not care for that one in this one. What do you think, Derek?
No, I completely agree. Because he doesn't. I guess he dies off screen, but the dad gets attacked from when he goes to the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the miniseries one was just way more impactful, and also this is our first real clear picture of him. And I wouldn't even have minded if he talked, but man, he looks terrible.
No, he should talk. He talks in the novel. He speaks in the novel, so I don't mind that at all.
But yeah, he looks. But I don't like that. What really got me, the front of his face looks okay. His eyes look really cool. But the back of his head, I don't know if it's how prominent the red veins are, but it looks. I don't know.
It looks like.
Wasn't for me. Wasn't for me.
Vines. It looks like vines. It's like
it
Vecna.
does.
Yeah. Yeah. So the biggest change of this movie, besides the pacing, besides it being like a thunderbolt, is the third act. It is completely different than anything.
Completely different.
What do you got? How do you feel about this third act?
I just have to say, I watched this with Jake, and Jake did not watch the old one with me. So he was just like, this is pretty good. This is cool. And I'm just like, what is happening? I was like, this is not how it's supposed to go.
This is not Salem's Lot. Stephen King did not write this.
Yeah.
I could have been on board with it. I thought it was suspenseful, them fighting against the sun. Although, if you are Barlow, why would you drive to the drive-in in a big truck? Still, why wouldn't you be in your house where you're far more protected?
The whole point.
And you're in the basement of said house?
Yeah, where there are no stairs to get out. They're trapped in there with you. Come on, man. But the one thing, I could have gotten past all that. But the one thing that really was just I don't understand is how the way he dies.
Oh, way too easy.
I didn't like it. Huh?
Way too easy. Way too easy.
Way too easy. He's the fucking villain. He's turning the entire town. And you're telling me that he is going to get so distracted trying to eat this kid that he's going to let somebody sneak up behind him and put a stake in his back of his head? Come on, man. It looked cool, but
yeah, it was a cool shot and all. But no, I like the fight with Ben and Susan in the thing is pretty decent.
I thought that was good. Yeah.
Yeah,
the shots were really nice. I was like, "Hey, this is a good fight scene." When you see her face come up behind him while he's looking through the blinds.
Yeah, it had some good choreography, and I like how he breaks the chair. Yeah, I like how he breaks the chair off and stabs her with it. That's good. Except my problem with it is first of all, their romance is horribly undercooked, obviously. But so we don't have any emotional connection to it. And it's not a problem. He does it with ease because he just does it with, think about the ending of Salem's Lot and what he has to go through to finally stake her. When she comes back and tempts him one last time, right?
Yeah.
We don't get that. We don't get that. She doesn't even in that scene try to tempt him. It's just she's a feral monster. And so I think that loses a lot.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, it is an interesting idea that they're all in the drive-in, buried in cars or in the trunk because it's I guess protected, so to speak. But it also is, like you were saying, Derek, really dumb from like a strategic standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for him, but I mean for everybody, especially when you think about the fact that how do they open the trunks, guys?
They got little latches back there. Well, I don't know if the old ones do. The new ones
and
do.
like
it's 1970s. It's the 1970s, guys. They don't have those latches.
It would be sweltering hot in those trunks.
They're
undead. They don't feel that. Yeah,
but I mean, you think of vampires, you think of like cold, basement coffins, not hot sweltering trunks in a drive-in.
It's cool. I mean, I appreciate that he tried to do something different, but I don't know what was wrong with the house, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I keep going back to is like, is that just maybe not scary anymore?
No, I think it's scarier because you're confined. And also the house had meaning in the book and in the miniseries,
Mm-hmm.
It's what kind of drew Ben back to Salem's Lot. And if he didn't come back, people, Mark wouldn't have survived, and Barlow would still be there. So it's an important piece. And in this, we just get like a throwaway line about how Ben's parents were killed by a drunk driver.
Right.
And that's kind of his backstory. So
I don't like that they threw that away. I really don't.
Yeah.
It just worked.
Yeah, it did. We do get that cool, like I said, that silhouette shot of Barlow standing on top of the drive-in. That's pretty neat.
That was good.
It's also suspenseful, like you said, Derek, with the sun, like where he's in the shadows, and Mark has to knock down the screen in order for it to fall, so the sun reaches them. That stuff is fun.
Yeah.
But it's cool for action's sake, but I don't think for atmosphere, I don't think it works as well.
Agreed.
Because I think it's terrifying being down in that cellar, especially when they go down in the miniseries. Remember, they're all like in that like kind of cubby.
Yeah.
So you're in like this confined area with these monsters. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, and it's like
claustrophobic.
There's so much that we didn't get out of the story because they didn't do any of that.
Oh,
like her coming back, like you said, like her coming back to like tempt him and to find him and to like just all that gone.
Yeah, and we also didn't get like some of the other supporting characters, like the philandering boss, and then the with the cheating spouse. That whole thing's gone.
I forgot about that. That was scary.
Yeah, that's one of the most effective parts of the miniseries, remember?
I forgot about that because it just was not even in this at all. That's so weird.
Yeah. So yeah, the third act is okay. It's the ending itself is also just kind of, we don't get the sense that they're off onto another adventure. It's more like, let's see where we go. And it's fun. It's still fun, but it's not as fun, I don't think.
No. Not that the other one was necessarily like super fun when he's just kind of like, they're kind of just like depressed, it seems like in the old one.
They are, but it's like they also are like, they have a mission now and they're on their next part of their mission.
Right, yeah.
And so,
this one they threw in the like Houdini stuff or whatever.
Oh yeah, what did you guys think about that Houdini stuff?
I don't know why they put that in there. So, I mean, was that their like chance at character development? Like that was it.
Yeah, that was the only thing they had in common was they both liked Houdini.
Liked Houdini. Yeah, it's just like what? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's So the pacing. Let's talk about that real fast.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was like way more like action packed and like fast paced. But like you seem like you don't like it as much. So now I'm questioning everything.
You have to question everything. If you like it, you liked it.
I'm not saying I like loved it. I'm just saying like it seemed faster, like definitely faster paced.
It seemed too fast to me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think so, Derek?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there were, and again, that goes back to trying to compare. It still probably would have had pacing issues, but you have a preset of expectations of what this movie's going to be and the beats that are going to, and the pace that it's going to go at. And so it does throw you off a little bit.
Yeah, well, because the build isn't there is the problem. That's why I don't think it's very scary, because it doesn't take time with those scare scenes to build that dread or the expectation of dread or the expectation of death. Like, think about here's a small instance, and what I'm going to tell you two ways. One, without comparing it to the original. First by itself, and then I'll compare it to the original. So let's take the scene of Mike getting bit, right? So in this movie, he is eating a sandwich. He basically kind of like falls asleep. He hears he starts to bury the kid. He hears the kid in the coffin. And we see the kid just kind of pop up a couple times. And then he's attacked, right? Compare that to the original, where he's doing the dirt. It's it's not quite dusk yet. He's doing the dirt, and we hear little noises. And then he slowly approaches it, and he opens it and sees him in there. And then, and then he's, it just takes its time to build for that attack. And then we cut to the next scene. We see him in the bar, and we know what happened. It's just, it's a difference of deliberation, I think, because this one I think they wanted to fit it in under 2 hours. So they just kind of overcrank everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't blame them for that, because they probably did fit in like as much as they could. And with changing the ending is like, I can see why this was put on the shelf, because they were probably thinking like, what have we done?
Well, guys, this movie's under 2 hours. It's an hour. It's 113 minutes. So that's what I mean. They could have. It is like 2 hours and 25 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they could have turned this into 2-part movie, like it, if they wanted. They
could have. I don't know if they probably didn't think that the appetite maybe was not there for that, but still make it a 2-hour movie, at least 2.5 hours. If you're going to tell this story, they wanted to just do a rollicking vampire flick, and that's fine, because it kind of accomplishes that. It kind of accomplishes that. It's just not as scary because of that, I don't think.
One thing before we move on past it, that transition between the book and the fucking sandwich, was just so stupid.
They did do a lot of transitions.
There's a couple of them that are pretty good.
Yeah, that was not one of them. Not one of them.
It's happened now in Secret Admirer. I'm going to definitely do
lots.
I'm going to do a book to a transition. A book to a sandwich transition in there.
It wasn't that it transitioned from a book. It was what it transitioned into. It was just like so unappealing.
Oh yeah.
Because, nah. Get out of here.
Yeah. The score is also not super memorable. I don't even remember the score, so it didn't stand out for me.
No.
But yeah, that's kind of Salem's Lot, 2024. Not terrible, not great.
Not terrible. Not yeah.
Middling, I would say middling. What are we thinking, guys?
I'll go first.
We know you will.
So here's the thing. This movie does have its issues, pacing issues, like some of the transitions, the main villain,
especially one.
Yeah. This I think the greatest thing that this movie has against it is the lineage that it's going against. Because you're right, Jamie, you mentioned it earlier. Like that 1979 version still looks good. Like it still plays well. And that says a lot about what they put into that movie and all that stuff. This movie looks great. It looks like it looks like $1 million. But I think that because you cannot help unless you're Jake and you didn't see the first one, you cannot help but compare it. So if it were a standalone vampire movie that was vampires in Salem, something like that, I feel like it probably would have done better. I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 because I do. There's a lot of things I really like about it, but it's a hard bar to clear.
Yeah.
You want me to look up what our things were for the last one?
Yes, please. I don't want to sound ridiculous and give it like the same score or something and be like, that one was better, but this one has the same score.
Yeah, well, I mean, still, even if you do, I mean, you might just feel that this one is at this level, and maybe after watching this one compared to that one, you might want to bump that one up. Who knows?
I'm gonna have to change my Salem Lot from last time.
Oh, you're changing the old one?
Yeah, because I gave it a 6.5, which means I would have to give this one like a 4 point. I'm gonna give the other one. So Jamie, you gave it an 8. Lydia, you gave it an 8.5. I'm gonna go ahead and change mine to an 8 because I do think that this one is probably a 6.5. It's pretty run of the mill.
Yeah.
So
I'll leave it at that.
What do you think, Lydia?
All right. Oh man, I have so many thoughts. Honestly, we've done a lot of like remakes, but we haven't really done one like this where it's like it's a decent movie. I had fun watching it.
Yeah.
And comparing it to the old one is just so different because of the ending, especially.
Yeah, and you don't have to necessarily compare it to the old one, but but it's just hard.
How can you not? How can you not?
Yeah.
I think I really enjoyed the old one, but I could also see, younger audiences finding this one and being like, oh, that's a cool vampire movie. And then going back and watching the old one and being like, this movie's so slow. What are we doing here?
Well, when they're younger, then when they grow up and get tastes, they'll say, oh.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish we would have seen more of the house in this and, maybe a little bit more from all of the characters.
Yeah.
I think the teacher character was probably the strongest because I just felt for him more.
Yeah.
I just felt like he was more sympathetic and interesting.
He felt lived in. Yeah.
Yes. And maybe it was just his living room because my goodness.
And smoking his pipe.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, dang, that's a cool living room for that guy. But I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I think I'll do a 7. I'll do a 7.
Yeah, I'm actually exactly where Derek is. I think it's about a 6.5. Because I think it's fine. It's middle of the road. It's has some really good stuff in it. Has some not so great stuff in it. I don't hate this movie by any stretch, but I also don't see myself reaching for it too often again. You know what I mean? Like I've seen it twice now, and I just don't think I'll be like, oh, I'm in the mood to watch Salem's Lot again. You know, and if I do want to watch Salem's Lot, I probably will just watch the original Salem's Lot. I don't think it's bad by any stretch. I think there's some really cool stuff in it. A lot of fun. I think the performances all around are great by everybody. I think everybody did a good job. I think Doberman's direction's great. I think the script is as good as it can be for the time constraints that they're doing, but I still feel like there's just some stuff missing from it, and that also might be due to comparison. But I just think it moves kind of, and that I'm not one to say things move too fast because I like things that move quick, and I'm all about getting in and out and telling the story if that's a story you're telling. But this seems to be one that you should let, because it's an ensemble. The book's an ensemble piece, you know, and Ben Mears is just kind of our central character in that ensemble. And here it's just like, you know, they're kind of just paid territory, you know, like lip service to these other characters. So yeah, 6.5 for me. It's a good time. You should check it out. It's not bad. Way better than any, you know, we feared initially. Way better. So yep. That's it. Guys, let's Atkinize this one. Who would Tom Atkins play? Ben.
Ben.
No hate for Lewis Pullman, who did a great job, but I mean, come on. Atkins as Ben, this movie's a 10. That's what I say. You like that?
Put on a picket sign.
Yeah. Atkins has been, we give it a 10. Atkins has been, we give it a 10.
Although maybe him as Barlow would have been good because it would have been better than the Barlow that we got.
I don't think it's necessarily the actor's fault. I think it's the makeup and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Just the makeup just didn't look as good. Could have been better.
That sucks ass, if you want me to be honest. It's just not good.
Could have been way better for sure.
Yep. All right, Derek, you got a story for us tonight? Look at him acting like he doesn't.
Me?
Yeah. I don't know. You got any stories about being shit on or anything crazy?
You know, my daughter almost got the nickname of Squirt.
Oh.
So when she was a baby, I was like super newborn. This was before our house fire. So I was changing her diaper and I had her placed on the couch and I was on the floor, and it only happens to you one time unless you don't learn your lesson. But like as soon as I pulled that diaper down, she just went like projectile shit on me. Like Spider-Man all over my shirt. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so sometimes I'll call her Squirt.
You have a target on you.
Apparently.
People in your family just know. That's where they should shit.
Hey man, I wonder what. Well, due to my brother, man, my brother and
your brother shit on you too.
Well, no, but that one time I told you about him pooping his pants.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, that one's nasty because he just slept in it.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, aren't you gonna take a shower? I'll take one later. And the whole back of his underwear is just all.
Oh no!
I'm like,
no.
And he's wearing tighty whities.
We gotta cut all this. This can't be the story for
Lydia,
tonight, guys.
then you wanted the story, so it's a shitty time for everybody.
Oh my gosh. Not good.
That's wild. That'll do it for us this week. So be sure to hop on over to the Indiegogo page, sign up for our pre-launch page, so that way we can you'll be notified when the project goes live, so we can make Secret Admirer, because we're working hard on pre-production. We're filling out the rest of the crew. By the time this airs, we're wheeling and dealing behind the scenes as we speak. So stay tuned for all of that. It's exciting stuff. So, Derek, it's your turn to pick, my guy. What are we watching next week?
It is my turn to pick, and I knew that, and I let it slip away. Let's see. What are we gonna watch? What are we gonna watch? What do I want to watch?
There you go. What are we doing next week?
All right, I've just came up with this on the fly. I was ready for it. There was no lag time whatsoever. We're gonna watch Final Destination, and you're gonna ask me where that's playing, and I'm gonna tell you I don't know.
I think it's on Max, but yes.
We're going all the way back to 2000. And
holy cow.
The second movie made people afraid to get on the highway, but we're going to start with the first.
So you can watch Final Destination on Philo, Fandango at Home, YouTube, Apple TV, Sling TV, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. I own it as well, I think, on DVD, actually, but I own it nonetheless. All right. Now to do it for this week. So be sure to comment down below on your guys' thoughts on Salem's Lot. How do you think it compares to the book and the original miniseries? Also, let us know what movies you want us to do in the future. We'd be glad to take some inventory. Also, next week, we're going to watch Final Destination. So be sure to check that one out, starring Devon Sawa and Ali Larder. So, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, until next week, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.